When you have crossed the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Destroy all their engraved stones, destroy all their molded images, and demolish all their high places. You shall dispossess the inhabitants of the land and dwell in it, for I have given you the land to possess. Bibles with you, I want you to please turn to Numbers 33, verse 50. Numbers 33, verse 50. I'm going to read till verse 56. You all there? Right. So this is when the children of Israel had to go to Canaan. That is where God sent them to Canaan, and He said that this is what I want you to do. He gave them instructions, He gave them the blessing, He gave them the promise, He gave them everything that they needed. This is what He said to them. In other places of the Bible, there's also places where He said things to them, but I want to concentrate on this morning. He said in verse 50, Now the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When you have crossed the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Destroy all their engraved stones, destroy all their molded images, and demolish all their high places. You shall dispossess the inhabitants of the land and dwell in it, for I have given you the land to possess. And you shall divide the land by lot as an inheritance among your families. To the larger you shall give a larger inheritance, and to the smaller you shall give a smaller inheritance. There everyone's inheritance shall be whatever falls to him by lot. You shall inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. Verse 55, he says, But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall be that those whom you let remain shall be irritants in your eyes and a thorn in your side, and they shall harass you in the land where you dwell. Moreover, it shall be that I will do to you as I thought to do to them. This is a very stern warning. This is a stern warning. God gave the promise. He gave the covenant. God acknowledged them as His children. He acknowledged that you are my people. He said that I wrote you the laws. You keep the laws. You love me with all of your heart. You go out, you do, you obey. God gave them provision. We know the story where they went out and they were in the desert, and God looked after them. For all those years, God looked after them. He didn't leave them. He didn't say, now, here's a little book. This is what you have to do. And you do, just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you'll be okay. He didn't. He gave them the word. He provided for that word of His. He anointed that word of His. He gave them the victory because of that word of His. And He sent them not because of them, but because He is faithful. Because He is faithful. Listen, God is faithful. Nothing we can do can move God's hand. God is faithful. It's only if we have faith that He can move His hand. So God's instructions were very specific. In Deuteronomy, if you go to Deuteronomy 20 and verse 16, He says, But of the cities of those people, which the Lord your God give you as an inheritance, you shall let nothing that breathes remain alive, but you shall utterly destroy them. The Hittites and the Amorites and all the Hittites and the Nites and the Sites and the Hites, they all, just as the Lord your God has commanded you, you must destroy them. He didn't say play with them, be friendly with them, invite them to tea. He said destroy them, lest they teach you to do according to all their abominations, which they have done for their gods, and you sin against the Lord your God. God said, He said, every place that you put your foot is yours. Every place that is here, from where I sent you to where I said this is where your land begins, all of this is yours. You put your foot, this is yours. You claim it, it's yours. This is yours. So, how was their journey? We all know the story. They started off great. Like all of us, when we set ourselves like I did at the beginning of the year. I'm going to gym. Wow, the first 2 months yo, this is nice. 6th month, not so much. The 3rd month, I didn't go. This is what happened to the Israelites. They started off great, but then they got tired, they got discouraged, they got complacent and comfortable between all the enemy that they were supposed to kill. They made friends with their enemy. Isn't this a warning for us? They made friends with their enemy. The journey was too long. Some didn't want to travel all the way. They got lazy. I don't want to go into the land. I want to just stop this side of the Jordan or just that side of the Jordan because this looks like nice grazing land. My sheep and my goat and everything can stay here. I don't want to go fight anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to stay here and just be comfortable and complacent and have peace. But that didn't bring them peace. So they would rather stay outside of the promised land. God said all of this land is yours, but they didn't want to go in. They moaned, they complained, they became weakened. They fell into idolatry. Exactly what God told them would happen, happened to them. They made friends, they became friendly with the neighbors, they took on their idols, all of those things. And why? It was because they were disobedient. They were disobedient. They did some of what God said. Yeah, they did. They started off well, but they didn't do all that God said. And know this, partial obedience is not obedience. Partial obedience, it may promise, you may say, oh God, I did some of what you said. I did not do it exactly like you said, but I did some of what you said, Lord. But Father, the promise of safety, remember the enemy will come with a promise of safety. And it would look like a reasonable choice. You would say, yes, okay, I didn't do all that God said, but you know what? It feels safe where I am now. I'm comfortable where I am now, so it's fine. It was a good choice, but that choice, it will always lead you to hardships, and it will also lead you to spiritual decline. Look what happened to them. They made friends with the neighbors, they got lazy, they wanted to be complacent, they want to sit there and just be by themselves and become friendly with the neighbors, and then they became friendly and they took on the idols of their neighbors. They became spiritually, they became dead to God because they took on the idols of their neighbors. And eventually, they fell into God's judgment. Because remember God said, if you do not do to them what I tell you to do, then I will do to you what I said I will do to them. So how does that sound? They fell under judgment. You know, they knew a loving God. They knew a God that gives instructions that said, you must love me with all of your heart. But they forgot that same God is a judge. He will come back to judge. And he doesn't do it with them. So what happened to them? They lost their foothold. They lost their land. Because they lost the territory that God gave them. Because they didn't go all the way and do what he said they must do. It shows you cannot serve two masters. You cannot. There's no ways. You cannot serve two masters. You will always neglect the one. It's like somebody said, you've got 2 children in your home and you raise them exactly the same. That's a lie. You don't raise your children the same. Each one of them are different. They have a different character. So each one of them is raised differently. And that's why children are so jealous of each other. You get the soft hand, I get the plucky. So you can't serve two masters. Their journey is a spiritual guideline to us. And it should be a warning to us. It should be a warning to us. Because their physical journey to us, if we look back at it, this is our spiritual journey. They're coming out of Egypt. It's when we came out of sin. Jesus saved us. He took us out of sin. He put us in the promised land, the land that says, I am your God, and I am with you, and I will not leave you, and I will not forsake you. But you have to listen to my voice. You have to obey my voice. If you do not obey my voice and you shun me, then I will shun you. I will take my hand off you. I will not protect you. I will not protect you against your sin. Remember, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. This is how you know your enemy. He always comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus said, I came that you have life and life more abundantly. This is how you know your enemy from your friend. This is how you know. This is a sure way of knowing who your enemy is. If anything that comes to your life that wants to steal your time, steal your health, steal your children, steal your attention or your focus away from God, that is from the enemy. That is from the enemy. So how do we navigate this journey? How do we do this? Because we look at Israel and I always think, Lord, they didn't have you with them. But they knew your voice. They knew when you spoke. But they didn't have you with them all the time. It was like Adam and Eve. God was with them sometimes. In the cool of the day, he would walk with them. But he didn't dwell with them always. But we are so privileged because we have the Spirit of God inside of us. That Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is the one that you and I have inside of us. So we actually don't have an excuse. We don't. Listen. The first thing, before we do anything else, when we get saved, when God tells you, change this, change it. Humble yourself. God doesn't tell you to change something for nothing. God brings it to your attention. This thing needs to change. If you do not change, it's going to escalate. And it's going to become worse. It's going to just become worse and worse in your life if you do not humble yourself before God. Surrender to Him. Proverbs 3:7 says, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Run away from evil. Do not run to Satan and the wiles of the enemy. It looks good. Remember, your enemy always will make sin look very good. He would not come to you and say, what shall we take as this is prostitution. Take this. This is nice. You're going to get rich. He's not going to tell you that. He's not. He's going to lull you into that thing. He's going to take you and he's going to deceive you and he's going to make it look so good. He's going to make it like sweeties.